Welcome to Tabletop Gaming Guild. Today we're unboxing Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition's Horrific Journeys. This is designed by Kara Sentel-Dunk and published by Fantasy Flight Games. As usual, Fantasy Flight has their little promotional booklet showing all the other games that they've done, at least about the time this game was released, which was a few years back. I actually own most of these games, or at least have played them. The expansion rulebook, very short, typical Mansions of Madness expansion rulebook. There just adds a little tiny bit of new rules and a lot of new content. Now, I have played this expansion before. In fact, it is definitely my favorite Mansions of Madness expansion. Has a lot of cool new scenes that you can play out games in, and a lot of new scenarios that are really fun. The rifts are new to this expansion. You can actually be pulled into another world, and some wild stuff happens there. While I love all the scenarios from Mansions of Madness, my absolute favorite comes from this expansion, and that's the train one, which I don't want to spoil anything for you. It is a pretty intense scenario. This expansion also adds one of my favorite characters, which is I don't remember his name, but he plays a trumpet. I believe he can buff people with a trumpet, if I remember right. And of course, it adds a bunch more horror and damage and spells and a few more insanity effects that can happen to you. So, lots of fun stuff in this expansion. Oh yeah, I think you can actually be possessed by the enemy at one point, and you get in these cards, and nobody but you knows what the actual effect of that is going to be. So, adding to the madness part of Mansions of Madness, for sure. Yeah, this expansion definitely emphasizes the chaos elements. And there's actually more obvious timing effects. So, whereas in all the other expansions, timing is actually pretty important, but it tends to be happening in the background where you don't hear or see it, so you don't really know the timing. This has much more pronounced effects from taking too long in some of these scenarios. Well, that's all the tiles and cards and things, but of course we still have, well, the bases and minis. Thing that everybody loves. Minis! A lot of nice little minis here. You have a deep one on steroids, and you're going to be encountering a lot of these, I believe. Not so many. I'm surprised in this scenario that it actually includes deep ones. This kind of looks like Swamp Thing. It's like I understood, like, in the one that had largely had to do with water, although you do have the ship in this one, so I guess the deep ones make sense in that. But I would have thought slightly different monsters for trains, but it all seems to work because you're adding all the contents from the other expansions. Once you start playing these, it is a little hard to keep track of what came from what. Well, and this is, well, if you're afraid of, what's the term, trypophobia, where you're afraid of, like, circles, holes and things, that could trigger that. But, I got rambling, and I didn't even mention that one of those monsters was just a pair of old men. That was a little odd. Well, I suppose age is the ultimate enemy. But that's all the components for Mansions of Madness Horrific Journeys. Great expansion, great game. If you haven't bought Mansions of Madness yet, you should. And get any expansions you can. It's absolutely worth it. This is a phenomenal game. There's a reason why it's hovered in my top 3. It's occasionally been my #1 game. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check us out on other social media such as Instagram and Facebook, and don't forget to like and subscribe.